Well, I read Peter Straughan's script before I read Toby's memoir, and I loved the script immediately.
Yes!
And then I read Toby's book, which I really enjoyed, but it made me appreciate Peter's script all the more. If somebody had given me Toby's book and said, do you think you could figure out a way to adapt this as a movie, I would have been hard-pressed to do so. So I was really impressed with what Peter brought to it, and that he kept the anecdotes, a lot of the things about the book that people remember.
Well, well, Sidney Young.
Well, well, clipboard Nazi-type woman.
And then just fabricated this new storyline and created this love story and created new characters out of whole cloth that were really interesting, and he really just layered it and really turned it into a movie. I mean, it feels like an original piece in that he's not beholden to the book that much. People who knew that I was directing this film, who knew the book, said, well, how are you going to make Toby Young, whom we call Sidney in the film, how are you going to make Toby sympathetic? Because there are more sympathetic people than Toby that you could come across. And, you know, for however charming Toby is in his own way and however much we love all the trouble that he gets into, to follow a character like that for a feature-length film, you know, it really has to be somebody that you can root for. So my stock answer was, I'd just say we have Simon Pegg, which really answers it, because Simon just has that kind of way about him that he can get away with this stuff. He can say really obnoxious things and act like a jerk and be very inappropriate, and yet he's just so likable at the core that I think the audience's sympathies stay with him, and I think you root for him.
Bob is incredibly, he's incredibly nice. He's a very nice man. And I haven't had a lot of experience with a lot of different directors, but I've experienced some very strong personalities, and he's very gentle. He's a very gentle, soft-spoken man, which I welcome that in a director. And he gives us all a lot of freedom to do what we want and sort of develop the scene the way we want it, which is nice, that he trusts all of us enough to do that. And I love Bob. He makes my life very easy. And when I first got here, I was very jet-lagged, and the first day, he rearranged the shooting schedule so that I could take a nap. And where I come from, that doesn't happen. That's crazy. So I was incredibly delighted, and it started off on a very good foot, and I love Bob.
Oh, he's a sweetheart. He's such a nice guy. I was so excited to get to work with him because Curb is just one of my favorite shows of all time, and I've seen every episode too many times. So it was awesome to get to hang out with him, and he's been fantastic and really welcoming and great.
I'd recently become a fan of Bob's. Had just been exposed, you know, 10 years on to Curb Your Enthusiasm for the first time, ironically, just weeks before the script came along. And then the attachment of Simon, who I've been a big fan of for a while, was also helped.
That was part of the reason why I, was kind of interested in doing the thing, because it was Bob, and Bob is half of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and that's such a great show. It's been really fun, actually, working with him, because he's a proper geek as well, so we've been able to geek out about, I've been able to ask him about things from Curb that I've always wondered about, and for the first 3 weeks of shooting, I couldn't get the music from the show out of my head, some of the incidental do-do-do-do, like that. And we kept whistling it on set, and I kept accidentally whistling it in front of him, which he found very funny. And it's wonderful to have somebody with a comic sensibility behind the camera. When you're doing comedy, it's really important that the person behind the lens understands the dynamics of comedy. And the best comedies are shot by funny people. And Bob's a very funny guy. He's a real classic sort of. He has that. He's a big Marx Brothers fan. He's just brilliant and lovely as well. Great actor's director. He's very sensitive towards our needs, and he knows exactly what he's looking for. And when he gets it, we move on, which is great. It's nice when you work with someone who you've never really met before, but suddenly it kind of works straight away, and it does make coming into work fun. It makes waking up easy, and it's nice when you're doing good stuff and you feel happy with what you're doing, when it just flows naturally.
I worked with Bob when I was 13 years old. He wrote the screenplay for a Kurt Vonnegut novel called Mother Night, so I knew him when I was younger. So immediately I had kind of a connection with Bob and felt very safe, comfortable, and he included me as as like an equal collaborator right away, which is what you want as an actor.
I've seen the footage of Kirsten when she was working with Bob when she was 13, doing your cheerleading on set. Bob had actual, home movie footage, and it was interesting because you're not that different.
I haven't changed, yeah.
Oh, she hates it when I say that.
Which leg did you hurt?
This one.
Ow! God!
Well, there were a lot of elements. Probably the top of the list was a chance to work with my buddy Bob Weide. We go back, about 12 years. Now we're working on a project that fell through, but we worked on it for a long time. So when he called me up and told me about this movie that he was making, the chance to, be involved in his first movie was very exciting to me. And he told me about the wonderful cast that he was assembling, and I just prayed that the script was going to be good, that I could say yes to it, and it made me laugh, and it was a wonderful script, wonderful tale. So those were all positives.
Goodbye for now.